This conference will now be recorded.
So remodel,
Good.
Start putting the roof on Sunday.
you did, or you're going to?
We're going to.
Okay.
Hopefully you don't have the snow and the wind.
It's supposed to be nice on Sunday. I mean, not warm, but not windy.
We went over to Bozeman today, and driving up on North Hill, you think everything was blown away, wind was blowing the snow all over, and you get off of North Hill, it's clear the rest of the way.
Melt it off.
Yeah, for a couple days there, it was just thick ice on the road.
Is there any idea who has the passwords to do this?
I think I do. Or you can get, we can set you up with your own, basically, but I think I can do it. But we didn't really do anything this year. Or no, we did, we planted those trees down there, right? In front of town hall?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the receipts for those?
Ginger will have them.
Okay, we can say that we did that, and then we keep it pretty low key due to COVID, because I think we have to submit something, a report for that. So, but
Like it should.
oh, okay. Hey, John.
Oh,
This due to the impact of the pandemic during the spring testing season, we have waived standard for an Arbor Day observations. We do encourage communities.
Oh, so they waived it.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Well, maybe we can just say that we planted trees, but we didn't have any kind of observance of it.
Okay, it's still due, whatever,
We're working on it,
December 5th.
so, because they need to be able to. So, yeah. But right now, they kind of.
We did get $200 from Jennifer Downey.
Oh, she did.
Oh, yeah.
So right now.
She's amazing. I just bought a vehicle and I was looking to get it transported. I should have called you.
Oh, what now? The tractor's on sale? You didn't tell me where you was yesterday.
You know, it's Veterans Day. I can show you how to run a list and do a circuit.
I didn't see you yesterday. I didn't see you yesterday. Normally I would be out at the Baptist church, but they didn't have it this year because of the virus,
Oh.
which is understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get very many of those away either. There was plenty for you.
Yeah, I'm getting a vehicle transported. I should have called you.
Yeah.
Mercedes.
No, no. Conversion van.
Really?
2006, so you know it's stylish.
All-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive.
What did I know? Huh, yeah. Well, where'd you get this at, North Dakota?
Spokane.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the thought behind that?
Because because we're gonna be skiing and we're not gonna be able to go into the lodge to warm up. So we bought a ice fishing tent and now a conversion band to like party it down in the parking lot.
You can't go in?
Well, I'm sure that we probably could, but I.
Oh. Gotcha.
The limit.
Yeah, my brother got a season pass and a road pass this year. It was like $2,000 for everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't go in the lodge, what's the point?
Well, you can't go on. Well, and then, yeah, tack on ski racing on top of that. and we're- Yikes.
Right, that's why I saw everybody spending money here lately, that's why I bought myself another new bicycle.
Oh, yeah, see, exactly. They're like your children.
And, and a ski pass. I bought a ski pass for, no, I should have though. What was I thinking, why didn't I do that? I bought it all the way up Bridger Bowl. Not Bridger Bowl, but,
Heart?
Bohart, it's under a new name now, it's Bowl.
Oh,
Hey Lisa, did you see this?
so where's your
Streets are-
sticky?
The streets are here.
Oh. Oh,
They got like a little alley.
they're gonna have to make this come out. And there's gonna have to be, yeah. I would say they need to extend this sidewalk. Like 6 feet wide.
It's surprised probably she doesn't have a opinion.
No, I think it was over there. But, oh, wow, this is north.
Yeah, I was thinking that was the street there.
Yeah, so was I. Interesting. I mean, are they meeting the setback here? Is this? I guess there isn't a setback on that. So as long as this isn't more than 24 feet wide, thank you for pointing that out. And as long as there's like 3.
What is it? Is that supposed to be like concrete?
I don't know. I guess we could, I'm thinking that maybe, yeah, these are concrete like walkways.
So they must be planning on.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure that we do that. Are they going to be on the call tonight?
I know Art was gonna be coming in. I don't know if they were gonna be or not.
Yeah, I don't show it. Maybe this will show it. Black, but.
Yeah, did Art have color copies of these? So this is the street,
Yeah, right here.
but then it looks,
And
then there's a fence.
What? Sure did more from now.
And then this one are two
I guess that's why.
garages.
Yeah,
Right.
that's, yeah,
It shows.
yeah,
I don't think an engineering firm would mess that up.
yeah, you're right. I mean, we can double check, just to make sure. Because I counted, or at least, there's like 20 trees on that property.
It's like one time. Hello.
Hello.
My hair is everywhere.
Do you need a mask? And does John need a mask? I'm gonna put it in my car. I thought that was what Blake had said.
Nobody told me, or was it somewhere?
I thought that's what Blake had said, that masks are required. I got extra masks in my
You
car.
guys come in the office, sit.
I'll go back now. I'm not sitting in the meeting. We're in the
Okay.
Will Kelly be here tonight or is he out? Okay, what's that?
Am I reading this wrong? Is Great West $45,000?
They have like an extra grant,
They gave us some,
extra 5,000.
they're willing to write off 5,000 of it,
Is what they're saying.
whatever you want to call it. Donation.
Donate, yeah, 5,000 or something, it's in there.
Okay.
But they were my least favorite. November 12th. There's like a bunch of cameras.
Oh, okay.
There's 3.
Did I pull these out of order? Get in trouble.
Is that this table?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I keep thinking it's like a
I thought it was,
smoke detector with a low battery.
What is that?
there's a little squeak occasionally and I really thought it was in my mind and then I realized it was the table. It sounded like a smoke detector.
Oh,
The second. We have the five vendor. Do we have a thing by vendor? Because how come Olmsted Associates, that's 2, 5, 65, 88, 10, 111, 8. I thought our audit was gonna be less money.
last year was like 8,000 something.
Okay, so
It's
was it?
13,500. I know. And why is there that signature?
Okay, we'll be calling this meeting to order in just a minute. We're just waiting for Ginger to catch up.
Yeah,
Give
because
us
I thought we
some-
only budgeted, didn't we only budget
You have to have Ginger about that. I saw that
like
too.
9?
I was thinking 10.
And I thought it was gonna be less expensive this year.
And we paid extra last year. We're still muted.
I think so.
John West, didn't know he was gonna run that now too.
I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was supposed to be less money because it was.
Can you hear me?
I guess I can look.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear us? No, we're probably muted.
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Art,
Yes,
can,
I can hear you.
Will you push the button? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
No, there, you don't have to press the button.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed
So we're not muted. So what is it?
oh,
Okay, this is the book.
well, you guys will. Yeah. This is with the claims. Jeff like his new place?
Say again?
I was talking to John.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
Is Jeff like his new place? Is he settled in?
I can't hear you.
Jeff, is he settled in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Is there any discrepancies in that we should look out for?
We were just looking at, what we budgeted for the audit and what it came through, because there's a couple different charges for the audit.
Okay.
Okay, just wait for Ginger and we'll get going.
Well, can we go ahead and open up the board of adjustment?
Well, we're gonna wait for her.
Oh, yeah, you take notes. I apologize.
You might have to let Art go. Okay, we'll go ahead and open the meeting. The Board of Adjustment meeting for we'll do the variance request for the 5-foot variance to a 25-foot setback on property located at 765 South Second Street in Ennis. This is for Kevin and Kate. Art, would you go ahead and start us off with that?
Yeah, that's Kevin and Kay Suzuki's house.
Yeah, that's Kevin and Kay Suzuki's house.
And they're looking to build a garage on the south
They're looking to build a garage on the south.
street so that they can, if you notice the property, there's two reasons to give. This is only a 5-foot variance. It's not going to affect much, from what I understand, the new proposed code has 20-foot setback. So I think this one's a no-brainer. I've received no, I didn't receive any bad things. I posted it. About 12, 13 days ago. Nothing from any of the neighbors. I don't know if you got anything, but as 4:30 today, I didn't see anything on my email. And I don't know if this is worth a whole lot of everybody's time for 5 feet.
Anyone have any questions for Art? I move to approve the 5-foot variance, bringing the setback to 20 feet for Kay and Kevin Suzuki for their property with the legal description, lot 8 and 9, Armitage Deer Meadow subdivision, block 2. Other address known as 765 South 2nd Street.
Did you get all that in your? Okay, can I get a second?
Okay.
Okay, now any discussion on this?
Who's my second?
Corey.
The only thing I have is that it falls in line with our proposed zoning that's coming up. I think that, and we've already approved 2 other variances based on that. And so I think that is the reason for approving this variance here.
Anyone else have any other comment? And I'll call to vote. Let's start with you, John.
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes. Okay, you guys, the variance is taken care of. Okay.
Can they hear us?
Yeah,
Yes, we can, and thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And of course, we'll put a plaque up that says dedicated to art. All right, the next one that's a little bit, we'll leave the hard one for last, or the more intricate one for last. The next one is an annexation of the lot that currently has a garage on it that Mr. Schaffler owns, which is directly south of the Three Rivers current building. They propose, I believe it's either 24 or 36 months. Mr. Schaffler has the right to use that garage in the sale agreement. So what they're going to do in that 2 to 3 year period, and who's ever on for the phone company, they might want to chime in about, whether I'm right or wrong about that. But Dylan mentioned to us that he gets to use it for, I believe it was either 24 or 36 months. So in the interim, what they want to do is put up an 8-foot fence, a nice fence, take most of their cable stuff, those rounds that are now just sitting out, and clean up their area and neaten up a storage yard. But their real 5-year goal is to build another building there and set it up as a meeting place where all of their guys can meet in one place, train in one place. So it'll temporarily be used as that storage yard and then eventually turned in. For whatever reason, there's already water and sewer on a county lot. We could not figure out why, but it's there. So annexing in is just probably a good thing for us to do. We'll get the tax base instead of the county, and they'll build a nice fence so nobody sees all of the cable rounds that you now see every time you drive by there, and they'll clean up their spot. The annexation next month, if the annexation is approved, they'll come in and we'll do a zoning for it. Or if you think it's appropriate to do now, to just turn it into whatever zoning is in that neighborhood, which closely relates to that, which would be their own, and kind of mirror them together so that we're not giving one a commercial and the other one a residential town density kind of thing, because it's not their current plan to use any of that.
Yeah, hi, my name's Jason. With Three Rivers. Yeah, the fence would be a chain link fence with the bats in it, so everything won't be visible right away. That's the initial plan. I did talk to my boss in regards to some other options on fencing. And we might even look at, instead of doing a 6 foot, we would look at doing an 8 foot. Have a little more coverage on the cable reels and such like that, so they're not so visible. As far as the trees there, currently, I don't know what the actual plan is there. We might try to keep a couple of them right along the edge of the property line, just to keep the look more down. But it just depends on how things fall when we start doing it there. But we did discussed that if there is a need for maybe different type of fencing or possibly some fence or other options to try to make it look a little nicer. We can certainly try to Jesus on, getting something accomplished there. But like you said, Art said that, I think it's 2 years that he has the use of that. And then primarily we want to eventually just rip that building down. So we have more room, move all the equipment over into that area so we can clean up our warehouse area. We don't really have a whole lot of room on the outside of that. And then eventually the plan, like you said, 5 years or so down the road to actually build a building to house everybody there and actually use the warehouse as storage for equipment like that. So we're trying to clean up the whole area overall is our biggest plan, and also get equipment inside so it's not always sitting out. So it helps on the cost and repairs and things like that, and basically just the upkeep of the equipment.
Hey, I'm sorry to cut you guys off. That's actually an agenda item. We can't even talk about that until we get into that. We've actually got the traditional neighborhood development one on here. When you guys get onto the agenda, we can cut that a little bit shorter, but that is on the agenda, so we can't even talk about that right now. We actually need to go to the Colorado International Transport one. That's actually on our Board of Adjustments. So can we jump to that one, Art?
Yeah, that's the only one I got left.
Zone site permit application for Colorado International Transport for 4,500, they're from 4,500 North Star Boulevard in Great Falls. This is for the 126 East Steffen Street. No contractor. Art, you go ahead and go into that one and explain just a little bit what you got.
This is actually 2 lots where all the cottonwood trees are currently. There used to be a couple old trailers there. The trailers have been removed. The cottonwoods are coming close to their existence life-wise. We've had a series of trouble with those cottonwoods breaking and falling on power lines. It's tough times. And I don't know if Leslie's on the call. This is Leslie Lindstrom. This is her company. And these are 2 of the lots that her family's owned for years. So that you have some spatial orientation. The city does maintain an easement on the east side of the property that runs north and south for a sewer, and Kelly is not going to allow that to be touched at all. If you look at your packets, you'll see that that easement runs just behind the cars. You'll see 2 different colors on the ground. That lighter color is in fact the sewer easement, and that Kelly does not want that blocked or touched in any way. That's what he uses to clean out the stuff from the Long Branch Saloon and the Main Street shops. So he's adamant about getting his access on that, which I agree with. This proposal is for 5 single residents. You might want to say they're really cabins. They're about 600 to 700 square feet, with one of them having a 2-car garage underneath like a carriage house. There's an additional 6 parking spaces. So there's 8 parking spaces in the actual lot area, besides what's right on the street right in front of it, which is probably another 3 to 5. Depending on how people park. Again, for orientation purposes, if you visualize, Schaffler, before he sold it, had that road that went to the back of Antler Design, and then there was another road for our easement on the east side of the property. One is on the west, one is on the east. It is The lots are 5250 and 7500, or a total of 12,750 square feet. It is not, I don't see a whole lot of problems with this, other than maybe a little landscaping so it doesn't look so barren. And maybe you guys get involved in a lighting design so that not too much lighting for the neighbors. But from what I'm told orally, I can't confirm it, is both houses on the left and the right are VRBO. So, but we still have to be concerned with the neighbors across the street, which are a whole separate zoning district than this one. So, this is one of those weird spots where the north side of the street is different from the south side of the street. And the reason you guys are seeing it is because this is a local commercial residential, and all of the area per dwelling unit, lot area, front yard, side yard, rear yard, and street frontage is all footnote 3, which then defers to you for design and implementation of your general plan for the city. So I don't get to do anything other than help present it. I know Leslie's probably on the call, and if she is, she can introduce herself and tell you a little bit about the project from a personal standpoint. Leslie, are you there?
Okay, it doesn't
Leslie,
know.
are you there?
She's not.
Yeah, she's not
Do you
there.
think this starts at 7?
Uh,
I got a text from her saying she was on the call.
we're not seeing her there. But before we can discuss, we need to make some kind of motion, and then we can do some discussion.
I guess before I do that, if I could ask a procedural question to Ginger, if we wanted to add conditions to, because this would be add conditions to the approval, would I have to do that in the motion first, or can we add those conditions?
How do we discuss this?
Before making, maybe we just do the discussion before we make the motion, but we're supposed to make the motion first, but I don't want to have to go back and change it either. Okay, well, let's do discussion now.
Okay.
That way we get our motion clean.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I don't have any major things. I think it's, good use of the land, good land use. I do have concerns on landscaping. There's over 20 cottonwood trees plus some pine trees. So that's going to have a pretty big impact on our urban forest. And so, I'd like to see some landscaping there. And talking with the neighbors, there were concerns.
I have like public comment and approval maybe, because it is a major thing right next,
Yeah.
maybe.
I did let the neighbors know. I emailed the
That
surrounding.
this was going on.
Yeah, so I emailed the house.
And
the house, so.
I have landscaping, but I also have exterior look.
Yeah, well, I think the landscaping would soften it
Hide it.
significantly. And maybe what we can do is ask them to submit a landscaping plan so it can be approved by the council. So that way we can take a look at it.
I also want to make sure we have emergency management approval. Make sure Sean and emergency people make sure they can access everything still and that
I
it's
think so,
okay.
if those easements still remain, I think. And one of the other things that I did hear from the neighbors when I contacted them was it's going to increase traffic. And so, and traffic is already busy on Stephen Street for being half residential, half local commercial. So there was some thought as to putting maybe some speed humps on there, as well as, I think this is, and it's referred to in that traditional neighborhood development section. And I don't know, I know Art had it included it in some capacity.
Speed humps on Stephen Street.
Well, that was just one of my, so that was one comment that I heard from the neighbors, is that that's going to increase an already really busy residential street. But in regards to the traditional neighborhood development, it talks about how we should, look at design quality, landscaping, immediate surroundings, small town character. What else?
We've talked a lot about the VRBO stuff in here. What about asking too for maybe affordable housing, one of them to be a year-round rental instead of all VRBOs? Since there's 5, can one be a year-round opportunity for local to live instead of VRBO?
I think we can require that.
I just thought of asking
I thought about that.
because of the affordable housing problem and the housing problem we have, and just asking, addressing our situations and addressing where we're coming from.
I don't know if
Well,
Leslie's on the line
Say
yet.
that two would be.
I think they were planning on
So
using
color one
this
and color
for
two.
their own family. I'm not 100%. I know the other 2 houses I was told, but like I said, I cannot confirm it. The one on the left and the one on the right of them, which is east and west of them, is already a VRBO. And from what I understand, Leslie had indicated to me that this is going to be for her family use. So hopefully she made it on the line. I think she was on the court one. And
What, I might just throw a question out there. What's to stop an individual, myself, for example, being a homeowner in town from designating my house as a VRBO rental tomorrow?
Nothing.
So,
And the only other thing is that this is actually in a commercial district.
Commercial
So-
residential.
Yeah, it's a mixed unit. So I think that I completely understand where you're coming from, but that would be probably more in just a residential district is where we can do that. Where this is a mix of local commercial, and that's what it's kind of designated at. When you look at the permitted uses in the zoning code, I mean, and we can, let me pull it up so I don't mistake
We're just
it.
never gonna get ahead of the.
They could build a hotel there if they want.
Until we, so in the town code, in the local commercial district, it is like bed and breakfast, it is lodging facilities in that district. So it is permitted. We can conditionally, with the TMD overlay district, we are allowed to put conditions on it. And so I think that's where we can use that conditions for the things that aren't recommended. A, landscaping, B, lighting, and then I would also like to see, because in the traditional neighborhood development, when that was passed in 1996, it said pedestrians. I would like to see them put a 6-foot sidewalk the length of it, because until
There's no other sidewalks.
it doesn't matter
It's gotta
until we
start somewhere.
start requiring them.
At the title place in the bank.
Yeah, so until you start requiring them, that's the only way that we are going to get sidewalks, is when major redevelopment happens, is requiring them to do it.
So, Rick, and you're interested in the emergency service thing, we
Just
can,
make sure it's cleared, make sure everything's good.
Yep.
It's a big project right on Main Street, right off. Make sure there's hydrants and everything's like, I don't know.
There is a
Nothing.
road right here that goes to the back of Long Branch. So that's,
There's roads on both sides, but is it just make sure everything's covered?
you can make that a condition if you wanted to make sure that that's there. That's not anything to stop the project, but just make sure that it's addressed. And then you were interested in the landscaping.
Yeah, I think they need to propose a landscaping plan. I would like to see any trees, because those are trees that are, 100 years old, that we have a minimum size of tree that goes in. So at least, 1 inch and 3/4 in diameter for deciduous trees, and for any evergreen tree, that it's at least 6 to 8 feet tall.
Okay.
Because that's going to have a large impact. You can see those trees from several streets back and from Main Street. So when those come down,
It's gonna be a huge difference.
it's going to be a huge difference. And so,
But they are
but,
super old too.
well, they're super old, and they, they're the type of tree that drops a lot of things. So, but I think if we can, mitigate So I'd like to see them turn in a landscaping plan as well as what Art said about the lighting plan. If we can have them come up with a lighting plan that is, aligns with the dark sky policy.
But I don't think it should be a subdued.
Yeah, and that's what dark skies is. Exactly.
Yeah, behind the Long Branch, there's a light, but it's not much of a light.
Yeah, so if we keep it subdued for those residential areas, and that's what dark skies is that all that they're covered and so they go straight down instead of out too. So.
Okay, is anyone else looking for anything else that we need to discuss?
No, those are all the things that I was thinking about as well.
Okay, let's go
Hey,
ahead and
folks,
call
we got
motion.
Leslie Lindstrom on the
for
line.
more
If you have any questions regarding usage and, Leslie, if it's okay with you guys, can I bring her up to speed real quick? They just got on.
Fine.
All right, Leslie, the council's concerned with landscaping, lighting, some sidewalks and 6 to 8 feet of sidewalks in front of the new place, and getting some kind of documentation from the Chief Christensen that he's got enough access in case of a fire or an emergency. The landscaping plan, since you plan on taking most of the trees out, if not all of the trees out, what we're going to do to put them back a little bit or to at least spruce up the place, give it a little greenery, some kind of lighting that won't affect your across the street neighbors or your right or left neighbors, and all down kind of dark sky lighting for the place. And that's where we're at now in the middle of that discussion.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, we'll go ahead and let the Lindstroms, if you want
Hi,
to.
everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you want me to
You can
go
go ahead
ahead.
and talk a little bit if you'd like about which project.
Sure, why don't I talk a little bit about the project? Sorry, we talked a little bit about the project right away. My name's Leslie Lindstrom. This is my husband, Greg. You guys see the proposal in front of you. I have a big family history in Ennis, and that piece of property that's been in my family for a long time has been an eyesore for a while, and we're really excited about the opportunity to develop it and add a huge improvement to the lots and to the neighborhood, and hopefully enhance, and just enhance Ennis a little bit. In terms of landscaping, I'll speak to that first. We did have a survey done. There's 17 willows on the lots right now, 17 willow trees, or 17 trees. There are a couple are pines. So we are very cognizant about having green space, landscaping, trees. We actually really care about trees, and in our other, in our own home, we've transplanted trees to save trees. In this case, we're looking at the trees. They are old, they have root systems that are pretty invasive and have caused some problems with town water in the past. So what we're really wanting to do is save as many of the trees that are on the property as we can, based on the trees' health, and then also what we're seeing in terms of the root systems and what we're anticipating for the sewer and water to the property. In terms of landscaping, other landscaping, we're looking for something with a really nice aesthetic that is really in line with the neighborhood and the town, and nice, and I think everybody would be happy with. Does anybody have any questions on the landscaping specifically? Any questions on the landscaping specifically?
What are your thoughts on putting a sidewalk in?
Explain to me a little bit about what you're talking about in terms of the sidewalk. And are you talking about on the Stephens Street leading edge to the property, to the lot?
You could use,
leading edge to the property.
yes, it could be on the right of way. adjacent to your property line. So it wouldn't be taking any, the sidewalk wouldn't be on your property, it would be on the right of way.
On this, just so hi guys, I'm Greg Lindstrom. Just so on Stephen Street. Parallel to
Yeah, so
Stephen
it would be on Stephen Street, so,
Parallel to Stephen?
yeah, parallel to Stephen Street.
Yeah, that wasn't in our
So in the
plan.
yeah, so
But
in the,
that wasn't in our plan, but we'd be very open to that as an idea, if that's some sort of, new development.
okay.
Right now, there are not, there aren't there's no sidewalk that I'm aware of. On sidewalk.
Correct.
Correct.
There are no sidewalks there.
Yeah, but I think the goal is as we're seeing a bunch of redevelopment in Ennis, sidewalks are one of the things that we are really lacking. And especially since it does connect to the bank and other areas, and having 5 cabins is going to increase the traffic. The more we can do to promote walkability in Ennis, the better. So
We would definitely be willing to look.
so
I think personally, if you're gonna put a sidewalk in a right of way, the city should pay for it, not you. Because the next thing you're gonna do, they're gonna be coming around telling everybody to put in sidewalks.
only
And
for,
that's not.
That's for
no, only for major redevelopment, which is what is happening here. For new development, not people's own houses. No, only for new development, for new stuff. Because then,
Still, my point still is, it's owned by the city, it's in the city right away, and if you want to put something in the city right away, then you should pay for it.
If we had a projected plan on putting sidewalks on that street, I could see asking her to do around, but when is that going to?
There is, on the west side, is there not a sidewalk? I'm almost,
so there's sidewalks at the title company and there are sidewalks at the bank.
right, but I'm talking even in front of, the yoga studio.
There's sidewalks there that were,
Coming up, and does that,
In the VFW too.
the
It breaks-
VFW does
it
not.
breaks and goes to gravel. Right after
Yeah,
we
so
just shut, I
like,
think.
so at the yoga place, they paid for the sidewalk. They paid for it. And so I think that,
And that's a
We're-
common thing that
yeah, and that's all the sidewalks. Like when we did our sidewalk project downtown, it was a partnership between the businesses and the city. And so years ago,
Oh, I was.
And just for instance, when we had in a lot of the stuff that Josh did, he put sidewalks in because it was a major development, it was part of the plan. So when we have a big development, this is how we start getting this stuff.
and also I think it's listed in our growth policy as well, is that we should be striving for more sidewalks.
well, and I think the number of commercial buildings on that side of the street warrants potentially now, after thinking about it a little bit more, that I am in agreement that you would do a sidewalk on that side of the street. Just the veterinary clinic, you have the bank all the way at the other end of the street. There's really not much in the way of like residences right there, I guess.
Yeah.
On that side of the street.
Christie's
So
Sayers.
And then I guess we can as well ask right now, do you folks have a landscaping plan of some sort to go on with this project?
Not yet. The original plan is we submit. We wanted to get through these steps, but we certainly can do a landscape plan. As Leslie said, there's 17 willow trees. There's a
So I think
variety. There's 17 willow trees. We want all of them on. And our intention is to keep as many trees as possible, but fit within the location of the cabins.
as well as the trees are very old and rather invasive. A few years ago, as Leslie mentioned, we had a water issue, and the roots of the willows took out the water main on Stephen Street. And, this is the story I always tell, but when we went in and spoke to the mayor and the city, we had depleted the city water reserves by a great deal in just a few days. And we worked out a deal on paying for all that water. But the trees are invasive. We'll keep as many as possible. And we're happy to do a landscaping plan, but our aesthetic is to keep the canopy and keep as many trees as possible. If you walk back there in the summertime, it's nice, it's shady, it has a really nice feel. We have no interest in changing any of that. And then to the sidewalk, if it's a sidewalk on 7th Street, I think that fits exactly with their plans. What you guys decide in terms of whose responsibility it is, we're open to that. I don't think that's a big cost driver. It wouldn't prohibit us from implementing this plan in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I think it would be an enhancement.
Great.
Ron
Okay.
asked, are sidewalks required in the city code for this kind of improvement?
They are mentioned in the traditional neighborhood development that pedestrians should be prioritized. So I move to approve the zone site permit application for Colorado International Transport at the property address of 126 East Stephen Street, Ennis, Montana, 59729, with the following conditions. A landscaping plan be submitted for approval by the zoning board of adjustment, a lighting plan that is in accordance with the Dark Sky International recommendations be put in, and then also a 6-foot wide sidewalk to run the length of the property that is allowed to be on the right of way. And that emergency services, we get a letter from the fire chief that emergency services will be able to access all residences on the property.
Good. Get that, Ginger? Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, now any more discussion on
So
this?
this doesn't, if your contingency, it doesn't come back to us, it comes back to the zoning board?
We are the zoning board.
That's what we're doing right now. Yeah, so that's where that's where we wear those multiple hats.
And this way, while they're working on that, they can start the building process if they want, and they can bring that other stuff to us. We just have to have the plans and
Yeah,
whatnot. But
and then
doesn't
that
stop
way they
them
might
from
know where, like they're looking to save some trees, but get rid of the troublesome ones. And so,
Yeah, that'll take time.
yeah, so that'll take time, but yes, so.
But then they're able to build. Okay, any other discussion? No discussion? Okay. Call the vote. Corey?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close the Board of Adjustment meeting and go ahead and open the regular town commission meeting. You good, Ginger? Yeah, let's go ahead and do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of adjusting here. Jason, we're gonna go ahead and get you on after we get through public comment. You've been waiting with us, so we'll go ahead and move you up ahead of that. But first, let's go ahead and go to public comment on non-agenda items. Remember, we're not allowed to speak during the public comment. I'd like to reiterate that. Okay, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
Hi there, Robin Blazer here. I'm the owner, one of the owners of Willie's Distillery on the east end of Main Street here in town. As you all are aware, on Saturday morning in the very early hours, there was a semi crash on that end of town that ran into one of the commercial buildings along Main Street. This issue has been raised multiple times over the past few years. And I know that there have been several wrecks in that same exact location over the past 6 years. One of which was right in front of our distillery, in fact, crashing into our distillery. I've been in front of the city council multiple times asking for a plan and literally begging for help on this issue for the city council to assist with engaging the Montana Department of Transportation and possibly the county on finding a feasible solution for this problem. I've heard really nothing. There has been a flashing your speed sign put up right at the edge of town, which has helped with some traffic speeding into town from that edge of town. But this is an issue that happens at night. These crashes always happen at night when there is very little visibility from that east entrance coming in from the highway at a high speed of a high rate of speed. It's my opinion that as soon as this problem crosses into the city limits, it's now a city problem. And this has been my opinion. I've maintained this opinion ever since this issue first landed literally on my doorstep. It is also my opinion that the city has been grossly negligent over the past several years, completely ignoring this problem and passing the buck to the county and the Department of Transportation. We've now reached a point of fever pitch where it can't be ignored any further. And unfortunately, I think we are going to have to take some stronger action against either the city or the Department of Transportation or the county or all three. I really think that this needs to be taken seriously by the town of Ennis, not passed off to a different entity. The excuse in the past has been that it isn't the town of Ennis's responsibility, but I argue that it is, because all of these crashes happen within the town limits. The excuse also has been in the past that the town doesn't have the budget for this. And yet I see the town paying for demonstration projects that are neither needed nor wanted by the city of Ennis. So to say that I'm angry and a little bit upset and grossly disappointed about this situation is an understatement. So hopefully this will be put back onto the city's agenda. Unfortunately, there wasn't time to put it onto the formal agenda because the crash happened on Saturday, and it's my understanding that these issues we have to request agenda items a couple weeks in advance. So now I'm formally requesting that this issue be put onto the agenda next month and every month until it's solved.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the minutes of the September 1st meeting.
I move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, Lisa.
Aye.
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 Meeting for the Ennis Town Commission, September 3rd meeting. Move to approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
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 Okay, minutes for the September 10th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Lisa, you good? Okay, Christie?
Aye.
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 Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move Jason from Three Rivers up for his commission resolution 55, wait, is this the right one? Yes, 556, 2020.
Is Art still on?
Arteries, yeah, he's still there.
I guess maybe, what I would like to see is us approve the annexation and then, for Three Rivers to come in and do a conditional use permit for that zone. Is let's set.
All you're doing tonight is a resolution of intent.
Oh, okay. So
Resolution
it's
of
not,
intent.
It's gonna, yeah. you're
Public
just doing
notice
the
and then-
resolution of intent to annex tonight.
okay, and then the zoning permit is a separate issue, correct?
Right,
Okay.
which you could certainly bring up, and if you could give Jason a
Heads up that what he has to do.
Okay,
But then it will be again on the December meeting with
sure.
the resolution of annexation.
So I would, oh,
Sorry, what do you, December, so like,
This will be
3 times?
forwarded through.
One more time, right? One more time.
for the
That's the
annexation,
issues.
one more time for the annexation, and then the zoning permit is. Yep. Let me get that resolution, you can. Do you want to read that, Blake?
Yeah, I'll do it right quick. Resolution of intent by the the Ennis Town Commission of the Town of Ennis, Montana to approve the annexation of 2 lots submitted by Three River Communication. Whereas it appears in the best interest of the Town of Ennis that there be annexed to the said town certain territory adjacent thereto under the provisions of MCA Title 7, Part 43. Annexation of contiguous land by cities and towns. And whereas a petition for annexation for Block 1, lots 12, 13, commonly addition by Three Rivers Communications developer. Now therefore be it resolved that it is the intent of the governing body of the Town of Ennis and of the municipality that the territory described by be hereby incorporated by reference as is fully set forth herein be annexed to the Town of Ennis. And be it further resolved that a public hearing upon said annexation shall be held as provided by law at the Town Hall Meeting Room on the 10th day of December 2020 at the hour of 6:50 PM, passed by the commission and approved.
I move to approve resolution 556-2020, resolution of intent to annex block 1, lots 12 and 13 of the Comley addition.
A second.
I'll second.
And on second, any discussion? Questions? Christie, are you good?
Mhm.
Corey?
John second.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll call the vote. Where are we at? John?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thanks for your patience, Jason.
Yep, no problem. Yep, no problem.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump to the Headwaters RC&D. You see, oh, both of you are there. Joe jumped in when I wasn't paying attention. Whichever one of you wants to go ahead and start, Joe.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I've been here, but had my camera off there for a second. This is a Zoom call, I think 5 million for COVID for us, and I'm kind of tired of looking at myself. So yes, my name is Joe Willauer, and as I'm sure many of you know, I'm the executive director for Headwaters RC&D, the regional economic development organization for southwestern Montana, including Madison County and Ennis. With me this evening, I've got Julie Jackshaw, who's our regional director and SBDC director. And we just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's been going on up at Headwaters. Normally, we'd be driving out and doing this in person, so we certainly appreciate the opportunity to do it via Zoom. And I spoke with you guys, actually, you guys were one of the last councils we got to speak to in person. I remember driving out there in February in a complete and utter blizzard, and then we were shut down. So overall COVID update from our perspective, obviously in terms of the virus itself, we're seeing the big spikes and those types of things. But in terms of the economy, we were very fortunate, particularly in your guys' part of our region, that our summer tourism season was so strong. I know we've talked to business owners throughout Ennis and all of Madison County. And I would say the overall number we've been hearing has been hovering around 80%, which compared to the projections we had in March and April as to what tourism season was going to be, it definitely helped. And we know that tourism season really is a huge economic driver for us. So we're very happy to see that those numbers came in better than anticipated. In terms of recent things we've been doing in Ennis, so this spring we worked with some of our board members that are also on your council to attain a Big Sky Trust Fund to help support the master plan that you guys are voting on this evening. So we're excited to hear how that decision gets made and get that project moving forward. Those type of documents are something we work on a lot and are able to regularly bring funding to, and so we're excited to see that move along. One of the biggest things that our organization has seen as a result of COVID has been some additional funding from EDA, which is one of our federal partners, to do an update to our CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. It's the only region-wide economic development strategy, and sorry, I was getting my background noise there. What it does is it allows us to submit for federal funding through EDA. On December 8th at 1 o'clock, we're going to be hosting a public visioning session. It will be digital. I would strongly encourage everyone on the call, both city council members as well as any members of the public that are listening, to get engaged. We will be building out a comprehensive list, doing a COVID addendum to our CEDS, and making it more relevant for our economy post-pandemic. And the critical thing with this is these projects you guys are discussing regularly are looking to attain funding. EDA is a great source for public infrastructure and things like that. And if those items get listed in the CEDS, it makes you eligible to apply. If they're not in there, EDA is going to kick those applications out. We actually have a full-time person who's going to be working with us for 2 years to be updating the CEDS and then helping to implement those projects. So we'll be sure to send over the information to Ginger and the council members and do a big public push, but please get engaged and help make some of these decisions. Along with that, we received some additional loan funding from EDA. So we have loans that are targeted at small businesses for gap financing. If anyone in the business community has financing needs, make sure to have them reach out to us. We have that as well as a new USDA fund. So we have $1.5 million to support local businesses throughout the region that we're looking to get on the ground. And then we also received an RCDI grant through USDA that helps expand our services, helps with some board trainings. We're going to be doing some additional feasibility studies and just good growth overall to be able to provide more services to Ennis and throughout the Headwaters region. And the last one, which is probably the most fun one I've got to share, I had a really nice conversation with Scott Kelly today, and we provided a letter of support for some work they're looking to do up at the Virginia City Ice Rink. And I recognize that that's not directly in Ennis, but I know from my side of the valley over in Twin and your side of the valley over in Ennis, we all like using the ice rink up in the middle. So we're definitely crossing our fingers that that gets awarded so they can improve on that good community asset. And with that, I'll pass it over to Julie to talk about some of the things the SBDC has been doing, as well as our Brownfields program.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Jackshaw, and I'm the Regional Director for Headwaters RC&D, as well as the Small Business Development Center that's housed at Headwaters. I wanted to bring up some information for you. throughout COVID, we did almost 40 small business trainings, and we have a website dedicated to COVID. So if you have businesses in your community that need COVID assistance or they're looking for COVID trainings, COVID information, please direct them to our website, Headwaters RC&D. On there, they'll find a COVID-19 link that they can click on, and that'll take them right to that website. We do still have funding for the $5,000 emergency loan fund that we came up with at the start of COVID. So if you have small business owners that need a little bit of working capital just to get them through the next few months, or if they're waiting for additional funding from a lender to come through, we have those funds available. We also have a new grant that the CARES Act money has helped us create. It's 5 hours of one-on-one business coaching for any small business owner. They can reach out to us, fill out an application. We can hook them up with somebody that can do marketing for them, QuickBooks, or accounting help. So that's also listed out on that website, and I'll send this all out to you so that you have all of these links, because it's a lot of information. December 3rd, we're going to be hosting a trends in online selling for food producers. So if you have local food producers there in Ennis, or folks that maybe make, like homemade jellies, jams, candles, perhaps local spirits, and they want to look into online trends that are happening in the food processing markets, Marty Butts is actually doing that presentation for us, and it'll be virtual. It's a 3-part series that we're partnering with Big Sky EDA on. We also have the GTA Grow Through Ag grant that closes December 7th. So if you know of a business in your community that needs to buy equipment, we've had a lot of meat processors or meat processing facilities reach out about that grant. Folks that are looking to, bring food from farm to table or farm to the local producer, get them in touch with us, and we'll definitely try to put a grant application in for that. But December 7th is the deadline for that. We also have the tourism infrastructure grant that's available, and I believe that might be what Joe referenced with Scott working on. That deadline is November 30th for folks to keep in mind, so it's coming rather rapidly, but we have a great team that can help assist you with that. For Brownsfield funding, we have just over $300,000 still in our pool of money. We were awarded right around $600,000, and we're about halfway through those funds. If you know of a local business there or a building that you're looking at redeveloping and you'd like to do a Brownsfield on it, please get a hold of me. We want to get those funds out on the ground. We're hoping to go after an RLF at the end of 2021, and hopefully we'll have funding to help with the redevelopment. We've had some success with those brownfield grants. We actually did a phase 1 in Virginia City on the schoolhouse down there, and it turned out really great for us. So reach out about Brownsfield and help us get the word out to local redevelopers or folks that are looking at buying a building or putting something new in. Those funds can help cover a lot of that. And the last thing that I just kind of wanted to touch on is the one-on-one counseling. We have done a fair amount of one-on-one counseling with businesses from Ennis. We've had a lot of businesses. Some have had exceptional years, like they've had better years than they could have imagined. And some folks are really struggling to hold on. So we want them to know that we're here, that we are a tool that they can utilize. We are a conduit to so many programs, and some of them that I touched on tonight, but the best thing that they can do is just reach out to us, see what all we have to help them, and hopefully our main streets are going to get through this and come back next year. I'm hoping 2021 looks a lot different than 2020.
Thank you, Julie. And I will add on, a lot of the services and trainings that Julie just mentioned are either free or very reduced cost. So it's a fantastic resource she just shared for the business community of Ennis. And we're happy to answer any questions that anyone may have as well. Thank you so much for the time this evening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you both of you. Does anyone have any questions for these folks?
I do. Has any of our local, for instance, has our local Chamber of Commerce reached out to you for any of these types of programs or assistance to get the word out on these programs?
Yes, we make sure that we send everything down to the chamber. Sorry, that's really bad. Chris Gentry is really great about helping me. Her and Robin both really word out for me. So I tagged them on Facebook, and I know that they've helped get the word out for me.
That's great to hear. Thanks, Julie. And thanks for all you,
nice
what you guys are doing.
Hi,
You're doing a great job.
I'll send you guys all that information in a nice complete email so that you have it.
I can't wait till we have face-to-face meetings again. I
No
miss
doubt.
coming to Butte.
You miss free lunch.
We miss seeing you too. And Joe could buy you lunch. Joe will send you lunch. Joe send John. Joe will send you lunch. Joe send John.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Joe.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks. Okay.
I was, do we have somebody that wants to go to this meeting on December 8th?
It's virtual.
It's virtual.
At least.
So yeah, you can go if you want.
I mean,
What?
I don't know if I'll be able to, but
Yeah, I'll try.
somebody should if we're
I'll
able to
put it on
get
my calendar. What do you say, December 8th at 1?
yeah.
It's a Tuesday. That's
Okay.
Because he did mention that if we don't
we should all.
get on there, we won't be able to get any grant money.
Yes.
Just to touch on it, because she touched on it, the Brownsfield Fund, we should maybe, there's a couple of businesses in town I'm thinking of. We should try to, we can't just put it on our website. I think we gotta approach people about it.
Yeah.
They do amazing stuff.
Yeah, they do. And it's great for redevelopment of those hazardous materials and stuff.
Places. Yeah.
And maybe that can all work in with our master plan too. So if we can get a cohesive thing rolling.
I think some of those landowners don't even think about that stuff or know that that stuff exists. So that if we try to help, maybe.
No, I think it's a good idea.
And the stuff they send us, we should start putting it on our website, the small business stuff. The RDC stuff or the links or something, because they are super cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and maybe we can
They've
post,
always been awesome.
yeah, and maybe we can post those to our Facebook too, to help get the word out. Because I think, yeah, they're an untapped resource, not only for local government, but for
Small businesses and everything else, yeah.
So.
Try to promote them as much as possible because they do great things.
I got a note here for that. Anything else with that?
Will we get a notification of these virtual meetings from, or do we need to go to their website, or how do we?
They have that. What I think I'm going to try and do is get the website just put out on the website or the town website on our Facebook page, just in general, kicking it out that way because he's left us a email address.
Yeah, I'd like to go to these meetings.
Okay. Yeah, because it's good stuff.
I've been to a couple of them. There's so much out there that you don't know about and they know so much.
Sure.
And they're willing to help, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Really willing to. That's,
Yeah, one of my biggest things is that we don't have a farmer's market here in town anymore, and it just drives me completely nuts. And I think we do need to focus on that a little bit. I like fresh food.
Can I chime back in on that?
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the, oh.
We have a full-time food and egg development center director, Courtney Edwards, and working with you guys to set up the farmer's market would be something that would be right in her wheelhouse.
Cool.
Write that down.
Courtney Edwards.
if you call either one of those people, they will tell you somebody. They will have an answer.
And a phone number?
It's the same, she works in their office, so.
Same office.
Yeah.
Headwaters.
All right, I'll call the office.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to the Madison Valley Medical Center, the ambulance service transfer of ownership. Okay, we've got these two forms that I sent out, and I'll have Alan speak a little bit of this. This is, we've been looking at this one for a little while. We've under the impression or the feeling that we need to get this in the hands of medical professionals, which the hospital are. It's been, how long have we been working on this? A year almost, getting the details and moving this all together. What we have here are a memorandum of understanding and an asset give transfer agreement. Before I ramble on, I'm going to actually let Alan talk a little bit, so then we can ask him questions as well, so he can give us a little bit of background. Alan, good? Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, thanks, Blake, for allowing us some time on your agenda tonight. If you don't know, I'm Alan Rohrbeck. I'm the CEO of Madison Valley Medical Center, and this is Dr. Davenport. She is our chief of staff and the ambulance medical director. So, for Ken here tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we envision this transfer and some of the structure. And I think as the medical director of the ambulance service, Dr. Davenport may have some comments as well. But you have probably looked at two documents. One's a memorandum of understanding, and as Blake indicated, we have been working on this for some time. We have been reviewing and evaluating what a paid ambulance service would look like affiliated with Madison Valley Medical Center. And like many areas around the country, particularly in rural America, volunteer ambulance services have continue to be difficult to operate. We know that regulatory compliance continues to get more difficult. Volunteer numbers have gone down. We've seen a lot of small hospitals, many of our colleague hospitals transition to a paid service. We know that unfortunately it's very expensive. We are looking at a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, fully staffed ambulance service. That would be a primary crew, and a secondary crew would be a crew that looks very similar to what the volunteer service looks like today. So a kind of a primary paid, probably 12-hour shift EMT and paramedic service, along with a backup crew with a call schedule, and more community members who potentially have that as a secondary responsibility. But very important when we do an ambulance transfer or when there's a second 911 call. So when you do all that, we know that it's about a $350,000 a year revenue producing department with about $700,000 in expenses. So it's we feel a very big commitment by our organization, but very important. We've been working with with Madison County to look at what county-wide funding would look like. So we've spent time with Ruby Valley Hospital, Madison Valley Medical Center, and our county commissioners to see what a county-wide mill levy would look like, and we feel pretty confident that you will see that on the May ballot, so May of 2021, to begin funding in January, hopefully, of 2022. The memorandum of understanding, the structure is that effective May 1st, the town of Ennis's ambulance service would terminate, and Madison Valley Medical Center's ambulance service would simultaneously start. There would be no transfer of a business or an organization or any of that structure. From a liability standpoint, we feel it's essential that the Ennis ambulance service ceases to operate and ours begins. As Blake indicated, we spent some time on this, and we have met with the county attorney's office, the town of Ennis's attorney, who is Lilla Lund, and Jason Cole from Garlington, Lawn and Robinson, and Missoula is the hospital's attorney to put these documents together. The other thing that we have researched and feel comfortable with is that the government entity of Ennis, the town of Ennis, can gift its ambulance assets to the Madison Valley Hospital District, which is actually separate from Madison Valley Medical Center. The Madison Valley Hospital District is our taxing authority that allows us to receive mill levy support. So that government entity of the town of Venice can give those assets to a sub-government entity, which in this case is the hospital district. So that's what we've been working on. That's what we're proposing tonight. And obviously, I'm open to any questions regarding the structure, the way we see this structure. And I know that Mara is also here to answer any questions you might have about a paid ambulance service associated with Madison Valley Medical Center.
Thank you. You took a lot of words out of my mouth. I didn't have to talk. Lori?
So you said you reached out to the Ruby Valley Hospital. I guess from my understanding, they kind of reached a critical point where they had to make some stuff happen. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the hospital over there purchased their ambulance service.
Yeah, I can't recall exactly the time, but they also had, of course, a volunteer ambulance service, and they had kind of some aging volunteers, and so they transitioned that. I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe, to a department of Ruby Valley Hospital. And of course, we feel like one of the reasons we were very interested in pursuing a countywide mill levy is just how important it is for both hospitals and both potential ambulance services to work together just because of the size of the county and often limited crews. And so we feel like the ongoing collaboration with Ruby Valley is going to be very important.
And what do they currently have set up? I guess their infrastructure, what are, I mean, you designated two different, or made two different designations. One, I can't remember what they were, but I guess as far as staffing is concerned.
You know, I'm not really familiar with the details of their staffing model, but they have EMTs and paramedics that are a part of the hospital. And they do have two crews available. And I'm assuming that probably similar to our structure, they have a primary crew and a secondary crew.
Okay.
I have a question about the taxing with will both the hospitals be able to get taxes from since the district will be the entire county? Or will only
They're
this
looking at
hospital?
splitting it.
Yeah, the county, it's at the discretion of the county commissioners.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're meeting with the
Well,
commissioners.
yep, our initial discussions and structure will be a county-wide area, not an ambulance district, because that requires a separate board of directors. And so our goal is that there is within the county, which we've outlined a very specific taxing area, which excludes Big Sky because they already have a fire and ambulance district that they pay for. So that's been carved out about the Jack Creek first gate. And then there's the most northern part of Madison County where Whitehall tends to respond to that area quicker. And so that's been carved out too. And so we're still in the planning stage for that, but that's what the structure looks like.
Okay.
So you guys are willing to do this and take this without all that implemented with the county and with the mill levies and with everything?
It is definitely our goal.
I know it's a hope, and I think, I would assume that it's all gonna happen too. The meetings I've been on, it seems like it's all gonna work out. But you guys are willing to do all this without?
Yep, the ambulance service, we believe will be fully operational before it even goes to the ballot. And of course, we're hoping.
It would be operating and running before, well, around the same time it goes to ballot, right?
So, yeah, we're not waiting, of course, to see whether that is approved or not.
Go ahead. What liability do we have if something fails as a town? Because ultimately, I guess it falls back on us.
I don't think so.
They're assuming the responsibility.
So we are
Turn it
ending,
over to them.
we are ending a service. We are closing a department of the town.
But if they end their service because they go belly, no offense, but if something happens.
Yeah.
You get
we still
technically,
have
you
to-
do not have to have an
We don't-
EMF.
Okay.
Because it's not considered essential service. Fire, law enforcement is,
I thought it was.
EMS, it's this weird caveat that, or
Yeah.
this weird section that it's.
So it can't really fall back on.
I think if something happened, we would probably have to look at something like that because you couldn't go without it. But I feel very confident that they'll be able to make this
We'll
work.
make it a success of it.
And I'm going to take a little step back. The reason we were looking at this is, as this town is growing, the Ennis Ambulance Service, these guys do a great job, but they are not specifically for the town of Ennis. They are the entire district, and these people have to make these runs and go out there. And as we've gone along, they make less money as they're going, and the town of Ennis is going to be responsible. Their taxpayers are going to be responsible for it. Another thing, as this town continues to grow, the service that citizens are looking for is more than what these folks are able to give. They have a lot of personal ties to the community, but the actual, when we get to the medical side of it, we need to have medical professionals taking care of this. These folks have done a great job, but the liability and whatnot that could start coming back without their know-how could come back to bite us at one point in time. And that's why we had started down this road.
I would say that our ambulance service, from reading the minutes from when it, you have some spare time, I want to read some minutes from 1956 forward. It really started because of the care that people wanted to extend to their neighbors in their community. And that's where it started, which is amazing. Right now, a lot of our growth is on the outside of our borders. And so I think to continue that reverence from that mission of, caring for their neighbors. It's our duty to support their efforts as best we can. And so I think, gifting the assets that we do have to go over with them. And then, we don't want to have any kind of competing service. And so terminating our service and then having a hospital, which is obviously run by competent medical professionals, is the best way to go.
So are we voting on this tonight? Or what are we
Yes.
doing?
I think that we are, oh, sorry.
Yeah. If anyone has any other questions for Al, ask while I'm trying to figure this one little spot out.
I have a question. I don't know if it's to Alan, but in this asset gift transfer agreement on page 2, number 2, there's a space where we can fill in what the specific use for the remaining balance of the move.
Yeah, so we can specify that the remaining, because there was an initial donation that was restricted to use for the ambulance. It was $125,000. And so we need to respect that. And so if there's any balance of that will transfer to the hospital. So we can say that we want them to use it for equipment.
Keep it with the ambulance type stuff.
Yeah, it will stay with the ambulance, but if we want to say, instead of for, say,
what
wages,
specifically?
very specific, I don't think we need to do that. I think they are good stewards and they will, if they need it for staffing or whatever, but if
I
you
was
feel
thinking we could ask them to use it for if somebody couldn't afford to pay their bill, then they could use that money to pay the bill.
I have just maybe a couple quick thoughts.
Yeah.
Some of the reason that that's blank there is that if the original restricted donation had specifications like using it for equipment or operations, we would want to respect that in this gift transfer agreement. But the other thing that's important to understand with the hospital is we have a very established financial assistance program that anybody that
I was gonna say, that's pretty
just as any other
government
department would be eligible for that. So that's really just a part of our daily operation.
Yeah.
It would be gone.
One trip.
The other thing that may be, you know, of interest to the town council is, well, one of the benefits we know that there will be from a ambulance service that's a part of the hospital is that those EMTs and paramedics can really be essential workers in our daily operations. They can become ER technicians. They can work in the hospital assisting our nurses. And so as an organization, their value is greater than just the time that they spend on an ambulance run. Because one of the things you guys might know is we expect ambulance runs per year to be somewhere between 200 and maybe 300 runs a year. So that's not a lot of runs for those people. And what they find over time is that it might sound like a kind of a good thing at the time to be not very busy, but over time, you know, most people need to be challenged and enjoy their job. And so this gives those EMTs and paramedics an opportunity to do more in the hospital when they're not on the run. So that again, also valuable to the hospital. And there's also some community opportunities. There are some communities where EMTs and paramedics do some paramedicine within the community, help people at home. And so we're hoping that between what they can do in the hospital and what they can do in the community, that we can really
Some
develop
home
more
health.
services.
What about, because our current ambulance does a lot of the CPR training, a lot of stuff like that in town. If they don't keep doing that, will you guys help and pick that up?
Absolutely.
That won't just disappear too.
Good question.
And will you guys be able to utilize some of the workers that currently run the ambulance?
They have the opportunity.
That's our hope, because again, you know, we need to have on-site, you know, daily and nightly people ready to go on a run. But then that secondary crew, we're hoping are many of the same people who are currently in the service, because that will be essential.
Housing, is it staying here? Do we need to talk about that?
That's something that we will.
In the future?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll have a facilities agreement.
Okay, before we've got pretty good there. I need to get a motion for the memorandum.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Ennis and the Madison Valley Public Hospital District and the Madison Valley Medical Center.
Can you get a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll have some more discussion there. I'd let in a little bit so we didn't have to change anything around.
I just recently put on a bicycle race here in town, and typically we like to have maybe a paramedic on site for that. I'm just curious if that's something you guys would.
You guys will still have to cover that stuff, like the rodeo and the football games and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked to cover like the marathon series and that kind of stuff, and we have more community events that we can bring our services to the better off.
Cool.
Yeah, anyone else have any other discussion on the memorandum? Okay, let's call the vote. Corey?
Aye.
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 The motion passes. Okay, on the asset gift agreement, the one thing we see, Ginger actually pointed this out, and Alan will do it, is the oxygen bottles are actually leased.
Okay.
So we're just gonna scratch that, just so you know that that one's there. And then we'll discuss the cash on hand, and I don't have the exact amount, it's right in the $40,000 to $45,000 range. What has happened, we had a large donation that was very specifically gifted off to the ambulance in the amount of $125,000, and they have spent roughly $80,000 of that. So we will give the rest of that amount over to the hospital as this goes on. That's the one red line. We just got to get the actual amount on that one. I just wanted to mention those two things before we went into any of the rest of it. The one thing with this is going to give the hospital an opportunity to start
Planning and doing.
yeah, off the ground, and then they'll have a list of what they have to start with. And it'll be a way for the city to help them move on or start up their service, and then they can build up from what we have here.
How worried are we in the meantime? Once we start doing this, that there's gonna be an ambulance running.
I think they're gonna do a good job. I think they're incredibly dedicated to the community and, you know, we've been talking about it for the past several months and, I think all of them want what's best for their patients. And I really do believe that they're gonna step up and pull their weight.
Okay.
And another thing that the hospital has done is they've actually started paying them on-call wage where we were
Yeah, I
never
saw,
able to do that. So it's a little caveat that way. And I mean, if there's no runs, they're still getting paid for it. So it's a little bit of a life that way.
We're gonna be okay, though, either way.
We're gonna be okay.
Okay, actually, can I just get a motion before we start talking anymore?
I move to approve the asset gift transfer from between the town of Ennis and the Madison Valley Hospital District.
Can I get a second?
Sorry.
I'll give that one to Chris. Okay, now discuss. You missed it, that one. Anyone have any questions with that?
I want to reiterate my point that I think it's tremendous that the hospital district and Madison Valley Medical Center are taking on this endeavor, and anything the town of Ennis can do to lend their support, we should do.
Transparency, how are we gonna go about bringing this all public?
Public as in?
I mean, it's public now, but I think we should start.
Actually,
like,
can you go
some
ahead?
kind of community involvement, some kind of, hey, by the way.
They actually have a plan. Can you go ahead and go over that quickly?
We can bring details back to this town council as soon as you're ready, but we've already started with our marketing company,
Okay.
House, to do two things. One is to do an ambulance campaign to make sure that the mill levy is successful, but also to make it, to be able to answer any questions that any of the public might have. So we'll start doing that now that this hopefully has been approved and can get you guys all those details.
Good question.
Yeah. Where do we go from here? Because it's done, but now how do we like?
Oh, we still have to vote on the part.
Yeah, that's where the discussion.
Yeah, no, but that's really good, yeah.
But we need
So
to
people
support.
aren't confused in the right information.
And that way, by the time May comes around, everybody already knows what's going on and the mill levy, everything just goes smoothly.
We just need to try and support them as best we can, and then we will, I think they'll be off and running, but then we'll figure out what we want to do with housing the ambulance. I know there's a couple things that we'll have to do. We'll have to, any new people, this is per John, we'll have to have them fingerprinted, and we'll have to actually get another security measure on his door, but there's a minor things that we can take care of, and then supporting them as they run into issues or whatnot as they need. Any other questions? Okay, where am I at? We'll call the vote. Lisa?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Blake, we're prepared to sign this document tonight if you guys are, or we can circle back with you, whatever.
We'll circle back. Let's just make sure there's no red line on. We'll
Actually, I have clean copies, but I'll just leave them with you.
What about
Okay.
the oxygen? Oh,
Awesome, then we'll just circle back with you.
They can fill the process off because it is part of public record.
I think we're good to go though.
all your marketing and stuff,
Only here.
all your marketing and stuff to push through the town and the town website and use us.
Absolutely.
This is,
I may just sign my version of that. Sure. The last version for both of them. We will do this.
That wasn't mine. I think I'm gonna come in the middle of the day and tighten the screws.
Just some WD for me.
It's the screws they do tighten because they're moving. I look underneath.
The courtroom, these are all criminals that are in there.
Okay, I don't know why they're talking about that. We're gonna table the rural water. We've had, and move that one forward. We had a couple of COVID issues that way, so we had people that weren't able to be here. And then the master plan, RFP responses.
Can we go back to rural water for 1 second? I know they're not here. I know that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
very much, guys.
Thank you, have a great night.
But it's been a year, it was happening before me. Why don't we do a 5% increase?
We can't do any of that, right? I want to do that with RFP here, with those people here. That way, sorry, I got the RFP. With the rural water, I want them here to be able to explain everything. We can't do a 5% increase without the boat. I forget, there's the only thing we can do on a yearly basis is a 3% increase without taking it, I forget if it's to a.
We're so
boat or-
far back, can we do the 3%? Because
We'd still be so far behind, we have to do a pretty significant one, and that's why.
that's why I'm like, start, because
But we need to have the right people here. Without the right people to explain,
Come next month virtually?
I mean, that's what I'm like.
they were gonna be virtual this month, but like I said, COVID kicked some people's up. We can't handle that part. That's why I'm tabling and moving. So I don't have enough information to give you the answers that you're looking for, and I want the experts here doing it. And that's why we
I
have.
just think it's gonna be so drastic that if we did like a 3 and then
We'll
Well, now
still,
you have to do it multiple times in a year as opposed to, not
one huge one.
one huge one, but maybe,
You're gonna take a lot of heat for this here.
yeah.
That's why I
Have to
said
be-
like a little
you have to
one,
be
little
aligned
one.
with the state in order to get any grants.
and we're way out of line.
And we're out of line, so it's gonna be a big leap, and we've been trying
So
to do
maybe
it,
we
but
can do.
never really,
20%.
never really sat down and said, let's do it.
So,
And next thing you know, as years go by, and we're all gonna take the heat when it comes out. It's probably gonna be about 40%, maybe more.
That's why I thought we'd just sneak a little 3 in right now.
Nah,
Sorry.
those
Wishful thinking, I guess.
What they should be doing is bringing it up to state, and then every year,
Yeah,
3%.
yeah, it should be
And people will
automatic.
accept the small one. They're not gonna accept this big one.
No, and
I
we're
mean,
gonna
they're
have
not gonna
to-
be happy with it. You might get lynched.
We're gonna have to public explain this.
Yeah, but we also have to have.
That's why we have it through water here will be.
I'm pretty sure we have to have public notice and whatnot to raise it up where we
You do.
need to, and that's why I want the experts in here telling us exactly how we need to go about this.
I thought that we could do like the 3% yearly and just the 5% or something, just start.
That would be great.
Start something.
If we were up to par, it would be perfect, but we're not.
Well, everybody's gonna be blaming us if the water
Absolutely.
breaks down, you know? And
Absolutely.
then we're gonna have thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that we don't have.
so we are gonna have it next month.
Yes, I just tabled, like I said, if I could have my people here, we would have done it with this one. That was what my plan was.
Right, because Kelly wants to be here for it. That's like the big.
Yes, it's important.
I was trying.
Okay, and I'm just stalling for a second, and Ginger had to run for a second. Then we'll go into our.
Chance to review the plans, either digitally or.
No,
I got them all.
that's your master plan?
There's the 4 different companies that submitted.
And these are just the proposals.
So do we like narrow down to
the
2 and interview?
Yeah.
How are we gonna, what's the plan?
That's up to you, how you guys want to do it.
I think we should whittle it down to 2 and then. interview.
Yeah,
That's what-
that
that's
sounds.
what- 2 and interview.
It's a little overwhelming in my opinion, but that's.
If you don't feel like you've had enough time, then we need to push this, because this is a big deal. I know that that's not what you want to hear, but I want to make sure everyone has.
Speaking of that, we didn't have a meeting last month and the ambulance kind of got dropped in our lap, like something's,
I can,
I knew it was
There's
coming.
two of them
but-
that just are not right for us.
I think there's two standouts of the group of, yeah, well, we'll wait for them to get back.
We were just having a minor chit chat about the art they're talking about.
So with the RFP, the trouble with pushing it back is that we actually have a deadline for the project itself. You heard Joe say that we submitted, so when you submit for a grant, you have to submit a timeline. And so we said, when we submitted that grant, that we would be done in August of 2021. So if we don't choose one again, so that just makes, and I want this process to be very transparent and whatever, so the more community meetings we can have. So if we start now, we'll have more time between now and August to hold community meetings. Does that make sense? So it's, so we could start whenever we let one of those folks, if we can have a special meeting and choose between the two, if we want to whittle it down between, Ginger did email those out, I don't know, at least a week and a half ago, well, the second, whatever the second was, or,
It was 10 days ago.
yeah. So,
So what are your impressions on it, Jason? Start with, you said you didn't like two of them you didn't like.
Yeah, so I'll start with the two that I didn't like, and I didn't necessarily not like them, but I didn't think they were quite right for us, was the Great West and the FDJ Alliance. These guys, the Great West, are mainly engineering. They don't have as much of what I think we need. We don't have a plan of what we don't know what we want to do. We're coming up with a plan. These guys are great at, to me, from what I read, it looks like they're great at implementing a plan if you already know what you're doing, but we don't. And the SJC Alliance, kind of the same issue, and they're also a lot further away. I don't know.
Like those guys are in
Spokane.
But the rest of these companies,
And that SJC is the company that we use to do the sidewalks.
no, it was Great West.
Great West was.
Yeah. So the two standouts to me were the Cushing Terrell and the Terra site. Both of them, because I liked both of their community engagements. I think Terra site said they would create a separate website, so there's all that consistent information there. And they've done some community projects, like they did Sturgis, South Dakota.
They are talking only online. Though. They're not.
Yeah, so I think for me, the two.
Where some of the other ones are more.
Both. And so the Cushing Terrell, I did like them too. What I liked about them is that they work in the community of Belgrade, and Belgrade is an example. Belgrade's trying to work backwards of unfettered development, and they're trying to fix stuff that has happened. And so I think they can relay that message of to why planning in all capacities is so important to our community, and why having a plan, so no matter who's sitting in these seats, that plan can go forward. So that's what's really important to me. They have, I think both of them have solid reputations in Southwest Montana and other rural communities. So.
Yeah, I liked Cushing Terrell. Their proposal was the best and the most concise, laid out. It pretty much hit the nail on the head for what we wanted and what we asked for. They're out of Bozeman, so they're right there. They have a lot of people that have connections to Ennis, which I think is important because the people of Ennis are going to be deciding what our plan is, and that's the most important thing to me. And they've done a lot of bigger projects that are like what we want, you know.
You
We don't
want
know.
Steamboat Big Sky here?
We don't know exactly, what I'm trying to say is we don't know exactly what we want, so they can help us visualize better exactly what we want to do.
Yeah, and they can guide us out of those community meetings of what the priorities are and come to that community vision of what we want. And it's, there's some super glitzy stuff, but there's also, I think there was Belgrade and Manhattan and other smaller communities. So I think they're well versed.
And just because they did Steamboat and Big Sky doesn't mean we're gonna get Big Sky and Steamboat. We're gonna get what we want based on the community input. And like Lisa said, Cushing Trail worked on Belgrade, and that was a big problem. They didn't do any planning forever, and now they're trying to fix that. And they have experience. They know what not to do. And then Terrace, I like the fact that they mentioned they were able to help with funding. We don't have funding, so we do need help with.
We don't have a grant writer anymore.
Yeah. So my number one pick was Cushing Trail and my number two was Terrace Site. I would like to ask Cushing Trail if they could help us with the funding and also set up a website, because that's one thing they didn't mention.
Or how to engage during COVID, what's the plan to engage the community?
They did have a lot of stuff in there that they were gonna do,
Yeah.
virtual stuff, but I think that
They're
website.
all kind of virtual, that's the only thing.
Cushing Trail did say once they got to like step 3 and 4, that they were hoping to have in-person meetings with the community. But we just, since it's gonna be that far out, into next summer, they're hoping, we can meet in person by then.
Where is Terrasite from again?
It's a partnership.
Boulder?
Boulder, Missoula, there's the gal, and then the other guy is South Dakota. It's Eric Hiken. He's the one that did the master plan for Conway Park. So he's got family in the area, so he's here quite often. And during those planning things, he came several times to Ennis. So.
Okay. I'd argue Great West that Jerry would be what percent involved, like 40 or 60% involved on this project. They actually broke it down to like involvement. And Jerry Grevens is fairly familiar with the town, but is he jaded?
No, Jerry
could argue.
Jerry is a tremendous individual. He's a great guy. I think they also are gonna partner with a little bit of Randy Carpenter, some input from them. I think they're both great individuals. I would second or echo what Jason said, is that they're very much engineers and, implementing your vision. We're still trying to come up with our vision. We're trying to, this whole part is, community facilitating community meetings and getting to a consensus of our community, bringing all those ideas to the table, distilling them down to a plan. So.
Yeah, we need visualization for the people so they can know exactly what they're getting.
Another thing I would go with I like both what you're saying. I think we need a fresh perspective in here as well when we're going through this. I like what Great West does, and we use them for most everything because they're familiar. But with this project, I think you guys would be very wise to bring out a fresh perspective, the fresh set of eyes that are looking at it and are specializing in what they're doing. Where if we were building roads or something of that nature, then you go get Great West because they know the town as well. But this is a good opportunity for us to spread our wings a little bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Cushion Trail was saying, is that they already have multiple people that love Ennis and are here all the time, that they already have ideas. They don't even need, I mean, they have ideas, but also the community input.
What is your thought?
No, I don't want to hear it all. I don't know, I like Great West the most.
And you're entitled to your opinion, that's why we asked the question.
Mhm.
What, is there any reason why you like them over the others?
Because they know the town and they're invested in the town, and the way they put stuff and the public outreach and everything, I liked the way they approached it all.
You know,
And I like the breakdown of the.
Yeah.
my vision of that would be, sorry to interrupt, is we have one of these other companies, and when it comes time to start putting the stuff together, then you can fall back on Great West to do some of these projects that way. And that way they're not in the middle trying to, and I'm not saying that they would do this, but it gives them the opportunity to push their own agenda for us to use them. And if we have a secondary.
And I could say the same thing about other stuff.
But,
Their own agenda and.
But hang on a second, with these two companies, they're not, that's not what they do. They're not out here building stuff. They're helping build the plan itself, where Great West is actually an engineer that does the projects and does the building. And they would have the opportunity to be self-serving and driving their own business. Where you have one of the other ones, they can help us get to that point. We could use Great West to do the project where it's not a self-serving project. I'm real afraid of that. And that's my personal opinion. I mean, it's ultimately up to you guys. But that's my opinion on that. I'd rather be able to use them as we need them when it comes down, and have the other people help us with the vision.
Should we do like everybody,
Do a
right, like
ranking?
their first, second, third pick, and then we can put them all together and see who got the most votes?
Do we need to, I think we can just go around the table and ask.
Okay.
Does anyone have a problem with that? Let's start with you.
I have it written down.
Okay. Yeah, so my first pick was Cushion Trail, and my second pick was Terrasite.
Great West and Terrasite.
John? Next terrace, okay. Corey?
Cushing, Terrell, and Great West.
Okay.
And I'm split. So, but my top two are Terrasite and Cushing Terrell. So, but they're evenly claimed for me. So I don't know if we wanted take whatever top two and then do interviews with them. Can we set up a meeting? Would it be too much to do maybe just a Zoom meeting with whichever one?
What's the normal planning time and everything for these kind of projects?
So when we,
Because we were at the deadline to do and we're at the deadline, and then we're gonna run out of time.
so we could probably ask for extra time once we're in it, but so you heard Joe, the last project that they did before COVID was the Big Sky Trust Fund grant. And so I can't remember the exact timeline, but we were gonna pick a firm, probably, I think it was supposed to be at the end of the summer. And so we're just a little bit behind there. So that's where we're behind, was picking an initial city, publishing the RFP and picking a firm. And so.
Which has all just been rushed.
What is your
I think having 4 proposals, I don't know what Ginger's experience has been with getting proposals for different things. Would you say 4 is a good selection as far as?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because there's been other times where, there's only been 2 to choose from, or 3, so I think.
I've got it written down. I sent out, I want to say close to 10.
Okay.
We had 10 requests. To see.
So people, so you
They
have,
ask, like, you put it out there, then they ask you for the information.
yeah, so 10 firms. Yeah, okay.
10 responses, and we received 4.
So, yeah, four's not, I mean, not bad.
And they're good proposals too.
Yeah.
If we got to the point where we didn't like anything, we could say, no, we're not doing this, but after looking at it, I think there are 4 solid proposals, no matter which way we go.
So we can throw one out for sure.
Well, it sounded like the Terrell one was the popular one, so for sure.
Parasite, right now, as far as what's written down,
Okay.
then Cushing, then Great West.
Do we want to interview those? Do we want to set up
Are
another?
we interviewing or do we do our own calls? What are we doing?
I think we could come together and interview them, so that way, if you have a question that I'm not aware of, like, that's a good question, and they're answering it, so I think of doing it in that format.
Is that hard to request? Like, should we just write a question?
Well, here's the
Let's
thing,
ask questions and send them to them. What do you think's easiest with?
Remember, they work for, they would ultimately be
They're
working for
interviewing.
us. Yeah, they're like a job interview. We say, we want you here at such and such time. They're gonna be here and you ask the questions. If they don't show up, we probably don't want to use them. Kind
Yeah,
of
so
thing.
I just think I think that way you get a feel for, because we only know
So
these
when
people
can we
on
do
tape.
this? Because we got to prepare too, so we have questions. We can't
Yeah,
just-
so I think maybe if we can,
But we're also in a hurry.
well, if we do it next week, can we do it next week? Can you prepare questions and?
Oh, please don't.
Yeah, I'm like, what day?
You don't need to be here for the interview necessarily.
Well, that's true.
Because
Not next week, is.
the next week is Thanksgiving. So
Well, I think we should do it before Thanksgiving. Why don't we give ourselves next week, prepare some questions and ask them. We can all do it. We can all do it virtually. We don't all have. to
True,
be-
we could just be wherever we
Yeah.
are. We don't have to necessarily. come here.
Exactly. So why don't we do that, a virtual meeting, interviews with the 3 and then go from there.
Okay, and you're gonna be out for how long?
Till never, starting tomorrow, and I'll be back. My plan is to be back.
We throw out.
Instead of going to Michigan.
That's we're going to miss. Right, though. And you're hot, I can't track you down
You
then.
can't look into my suitcase. And you
Can we ask all 3 or are we gonna go to 2?
Let's just do all 3, why not?
You're not taking. Okay, so,
I just, from Great West, I've been in these seats with them facilitating community meetings, and it's not their strong point. From my experience.
With the same people that are listed
Yes.
in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we got 2.
Jerry's there, he's the.
He's their planner.
Dense,
Yeah.
active guy on this.
I recommend calling other project sites to help them form your interview questions.
Oh,
thank
the
you.
back, thanks Karen. The previous project site?
Yeah, and how they did, because they can say, oh, we did a fabulous
Oh,
job.
like a reference. Oh,
Yeah.
job interview. Thanks, Karen.
So just to be clear, we had 2 top votes for Cushing Trail and then Lisa's middle.
Yeah.
What would you call that vote? Or not a vote, but
Split
vote.
decision.
So that was 3. And then Terracite was, John had a top vote and Lisa had a split decision. And then a number 2 vote for Terracite and a number 1 vote for Great West.
and Corey had a Great West also. That's why we'll just throw 3 of them in there. That's all right, let's drop one.
Right, so we're dropping SCJ.
I think they're talented individuals, but they're just a little too far for us.
Yeah.
So Great West is the ones that did the sidewalks and Terracite was the ones that did Common Park.
Yeah, I did a plan for that.
The plan.
Okay, so guys, work on your questions and we'll get that all set up. Let's go ahead and move on to department reports. The library. Anyone have any questions for Karen?
You're gonna come up with a time or text us or figure out?
Yeah, we'll figure it
Okay.
What did you say?
No questions for Karen? No. Okay, let's go
Thanks for
ahead.
doing a great job.
Yep, doing awesome. Police. Report, I can hear John, you have a copy of my report. He's gonna do that even though he's not there.
You got a copy of my written.
We saw, and he gave us
I want to talk to him. I'll
Speed
email
limit
him.
sign stuff too.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
can you
you just
repeat
put it-
that, Jason? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
John gave us the speed limit sign table
Oh, data, yeah.
with all the data.
Doesn't he do that every month?
Oh, we started doing it every month, yeah.
That's what he had asked for.
Sorry?
Homicide.
That guy used to work for the town.
We
He's
won't
got
talk-
several places.
Town lumberyard, propane delivery.
Yeah, I know a little bit. Yeah, that's bizarre.
Any questions for John? I'll go pull him if we need him.
I'll email him my question. It was just about that accident, because he was there that morning. I wonder if
Oh,
he
yeah.
interviewed that guy. He said, why'd you do this?
Oh, he's on the line. He's just from his office.
Hi, John.
Is there any help on why this happens?
Is there any what?
Is there any what?
Did he say how or why or anything? Lighting, speed, any indication on how it happened, why it happened?
You know, when you're coming in from the west.
Blamed the trach brake on the
And they
truck.
should have rumble
Blamed on the
strips.
trach brake on it.
Can't hear
Can you repeat, John,
Can you mute us?
and repeat yourself?
Yeah, I gotta, it's gonna be a second here, hang on. Yeah, it's gonna be a second here, hang on.
They need better lighting and they need rumble strips.
you. I think lighting too, because there
Rumble
is
strips
some
are really
lights.
important.
There's some
They're
lights.
good, you know-
What about the concrete that you see in front of like the post office, those round concrete, because it gets ran into all the time? What about Willie's throwing those concrete barriers in? They're not gonna totally stop a truck, but they're gonna save a building.
Yeah, right
More
there.
than-
One idea is that we annex
I just brought him in person. It's a heck of a lot easier than, he's 20 feet. away.
So he alleges that his Jake brake was, didn't slow him down fast enough, so he was in a penalty driving. He was issued a citation for speed. I mean, there was nothing that road conditions or anything else had to do with it. He wasn't paying attention.
And then he hit that like pothole, huh?
He just came in and you can see
Coming in.
with the evidence on it, he tried to brake and turn at the same time, so he was coming in probably, I would venture to say he was 26 or 28,000 pounds. He's probably moving at 60 to 65 miles an hour coming into town.
Yeah,
I can't do it. All I can do is give it a court date, I'm sorry. Realistically.
The only thing that really causes those kind of accidents is just not paying attention.
Exactly.
So the
road conditions had nothing to do with it. There was no weather. It was bare and dry. It was a little chilly, but there was no ice on the road whatsoever. It was all 100% operator error. And, you gotta love Montana, all we do is write them an $85 ticket.
And then you had
I don't wake up the bottom ounce, the Supreme Court does that. So unfortunately, that's all you can do.
Ask yours too.
What question?
You had a question, I thought.
For John.
For John.
I don't know. I guess I could fabricate a question.
But I know like Virginia City, they just put lights at the top of their hill and then another set of flashing yellow light coming into town.
You want my God's honest opinion? Street lights all the way out to the other side of the bridge.
That's what I
And
think.
here's why, is you come out of town, you come into town from the north, you see the lights of the town, it lights up. You come into town from this side, from Virginia City, you know it's a town. You psychologically, you see that, you're like, okay, I'm coming into town. This time of the year, El Western and Rainbow are both shut down, so there's no extra lights out there. So it is pitch black until you crest over that bridge, and then by then, if you're going that speed in the semi, it's too late anyways. So you light it up all the way to the edge of town, or even past that to the edge of the bridge, because if you put lights on the other side of the bridge, like street
It
lights,
starts waking you up and, oh, in town.
you'll see that from the corner of my cemetery loop out there. So as you come around the corner, you're gonna start seeing lights and be like, oh yeah. And if DOT is such a problem to put lights out over there, next suggestion, just put big pole lights up in 2 or 3 of them in Lions Park parking lot. so that you can see them from the other
Well,
side of the bridge.
But here's the thing, we could also, too, because the property across the bridge, it's FWP on that, one side, and it's NDT on the other side. So we could actually annex in those properties and make them part of town, and then can we?
And we can put lights up.
Put frickin' rumble strips in. I don't like to
No,
I am against.
I can tell you, every time I drive to Bozeman, they put the rumble strips in at the California corner, and it doesn't change.
You become accustomed to it, you become used to it.
It's there.
In a beautiful summer day, you've got an open field up there, you've got the river right there, you've got, somebody comes in and hits those rumble strips, that's gonna echo through all of Lower Ennis. So start somewhere.
It already
with visual
does.
cues.
When they hit the bridge, you can hear it.
Yeah, start somewhere with the visual cues first, and yeah, don't get me wrong, if it continues to happen, if we get lights out there and everything else, then maybe rumble strips are the way to go.
Well,
But
maybe-
right now, start somewhere where it's a little less.
And, you know, maybe we can get a partner in FWP in, you know, because that's a parking lot, you know, maybe.
Like that.
They would help us like that. You know, I think there's some partnerships to be happened, and we can certainly go to MDT, and ask them for, you know, once again.
Well, that could be
saying-
part of our master plan is the street lighting and stuff. That's what I said at the beginning.
Exactly, that's why this is important. Yeah, and that's, it still can be.
And the grants are there, everything's there.
Exactly.
The other thing too,
We've done pretty good.
I've driven it like 5 or 6 times now, trying to get maybe, because there are pissed people and we should try to help. There's no deflectors on the guardrail.
That's an MDT thing, but I mean, I don't know whether the deflectors and the guardrail are gonna do you. They're delineators down the highway, just like, so you get them every, I forget how many feet, that are reflective down the highway, which is the standard. They don't need to put them on the guardrail. You could ask.
It was just,
Put them on the
because
guardrail.
I said it keeps having the same time every year when it's like that full moon to no moon, it's pitch black.
Yeah.
So the more light.
And that's what I'm saying, is there's no, if you've driven it at night, it is pitch black. I've almost hit a couple of cows out there that have been through, you know, out on the fence when they had cows over in that field, because they get through that fence, and I mean, it is pitch black. If you don't, I mean, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, they used to put them out there when they leave, and they did leave.
Let's, this is actually an agenda item next
Okay.
month, and we'll have lots of conversation. Any other
Sorry.
questions for John? No, you're good.
We can bring it back up in commission
Um,
comments.
I got one. Do you think, I know you just mentioned the lights, which I wanted to hear at Lions Park. Do you think, putting up, I gotta come up with the right word for it, a median, basically a stop sign or a diversion for traffic coming out of Lions Park, heading, you know, entering
Like a
Main
triangle.
Street, one down.
We don't get, I'm 99.9% sure I've never written a crash related to that intersection at Lions Park. And even if you put a median there, if you look at the skid marks where he came, he was in the lane of travel. It's braking and going, and then his trailer drove sideways. And it's, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna talk about this next month. Let's move on. Anything not related to that? Okay. Let's move on to the
You're welcome.
Thank you.
ambulance report.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. I thought it was John. They look so much like him.
They really do.
I thought it was
You
John.
probably built this one.
So, we're without an ambulance manager, is that correct?
No, not, she's still here.
May
May.
2021, the transfer out.
Do we still have to have someone run it for us until they take it over?
Okay.
That word on the street, like, if you fired her.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's news to me.
That's why I kind of said tonight, I was like, are we good to go?
Right, and she is our, our grant writer too, correct? Just put her through.
Right.
She did take that class, but I think if we were getting into grants even without her, Karen, is a big one there.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically it abolishes May 2020.
Yes.
They're all-
I have to get the 2021 part in my.
They're all employed or on
The hospital-
call, on call for.
Yeah,
They-
they maintain their current status until May. That sound
Plenty of
right?
a notice,
What?
plenty of a notice. 6 month notice for her.
Well, she's just quitting though. I mean.
Well, we'll just have a reduction, we're eliminating the department.
Right.
And if we want to do something else along those lines, we can discuss that as we get closer.
Because everything's the same until then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on that, I think it's, the only good time to, we're not selling this, but we're getting rid of this business and it's functioning, it's not in trouble right now, it's saleable, if you will. So I think it's good that it's moving now.
I think it's the right move for the community. And ultimately, the hospital, it's all about patient outcomes and our growing community and the needs of our growing community. So anyway.
Okay, Public Works, we don't have a report. I'll get to that in just a minute. Zoning, we don't have a report. And I actually was going to ask Art about that. Sorry, that's my fault. I will have something set up because you guys had asked for what was going on or a summary of, and I actually blanked that out. That's my fault. And then a clerk report. Any questions for Ginger? I'll say it for her. You've got my written report. Did I get it?
So we did the audit completed.
It's completed. I did get the hard copy, so they are in the office. Anybody wants to take one?
Is it in a digital format too?
They did not do it digitally. I can ask.
Is it one of those giant books?
No, it's not that big.
Like
Usually
that?
not that big. Yeah, probably like 50 pages.
Is there one for each of us, or do we just look at it and give it back?
I keep one in the office, and I've got that one pegged already, so the
Okay.
rest can go out.
So I know next month is already kind of busy. Should we go over that maybe in January then?
I'll
Put it on the
see,
agenda and to go through it?
I'll see where we're sitting with the agenda. We might do it next month.
Okay.
If I could have put a lot more on here, we've been here until midnight. if I
Yeah,
really-
yeah, no, that's what I'm just saying, it maybe in January.
I'll put it on that, and if
At some
it's
point.
in there, yep, we'll go over it. Anything else for Ginger?
How about the cost of the audit this year? Was it, you said 13,000, was it the same as last year?
13.5,
And how much?
What did we budget for it?
13.5.
I thought it was gonna be less money this year.
I don't remember budget.
I didn't know
No,
that.
but this was the end of the 3-year
Oh, okay.
contract with them.
Oh, okay.
So that would be something that,
When would we have to choose that by?
before budget,
Before budget, okay.
Before June?
Before June, so can that be made a note that we might want to,
Audit review.
yeah,
I'll spread it.
review auditors or, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the idea with that. Okay, we'll go ahead and move in. Anyone else got any more questions for Ginger? Okay, mayor's report. Got a couple things here. First thing, Robin's still on there. Robin, we've started the conversation. This will be on our agenda next month. And what I'm going to try and do is get with MDT specifically and have them in our meetings so we can start this conversation and get them to commit or not commit as to what they will or won't do. It's time for us to go ahead and hold their feet to the fire. I know that there's been issues with MDT in prior administrations. They've been working well with us. I feel like they've got a really good working relationship with them now, and I think we just need to go ahead and bring them in there, or bring them in here so everyone can have the questions. So I'll call the powers that be. Maybe it's the safety people that are the ones that come in first. I'm not sure on that, but I will start the process of getting them so they can help us start working on this. An interesting thing with that is when I talked to Bill out of Butte, when you guys had come in the last time, I didn't see what she said there. They had no idea that there were wrecks there, or that's what they claimed.
Who said that?
MDT.
John, go up. There's no visible indicator that a vehicle entering town on the side at night. Between Twin and Dillon.
Okay, sorry. So we'll try and get them on there. The next thing, I am with the way COVID is going right now, our rates are going up and up and up. And as of now, I'm going to mandate in all government buildings in the town of Ennis that masks are required. I would hope that citizens of town pay attention to what's going on here. If we are responsible citizens and put these masks on when they were asked to and you're out and about, it is right now our #1 barrier from this disease. People will still get it, obviously, but we need to be taking care of ourselves and thus taking care of other people. And us putting masks on are a huge help. Right now, in the United States, we are the #4 state in percentage of cases. Our cavalier attitude as citizens is admirable at a lot of times, but at this point in time, we need to probably pull it back and hopefully stem this. We have record cases 5 of the last 6 days. Madison County, 16 yesterday or today. We just keep growing, and if we don't do something and take responsibility as citizens, we'll end up having to shut all this down again, and no one wants to do that. If we don't take the responsibility, though, that's where it'll be heading. But as of right now, I am mandating that for all government buildings in Ennis. And it's not something I want to do. It's something I've been thinking about and I'm watching. Not really happy with it as far as that, but I don't like wearing this mask any more than anyone else does, except when the wind's blowing. I like it. It keeps my face warm. But and so I've also been working with the ambulance, whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to the commissioners. John, do you have any comments? Corey?
Not too much, other than the decided to talk to Courtney Edwards about doing a farmer's market.
I don't think you'll see a farmer's market until after this here disease clears up. And then everything is gonna come back.
He'll have it
Until
all
it
figured out,
happens,
ready to go.
something's gonna. There really ain't much you can do about it.
There is, if we would like to, if we came up with an idea, maybe Joe Willow or Joe Jackson can help us on the Montana Main Street, and I can look and see if lighting falls under that.
Virginia City got those grants for the solar ones.
Yeah, so we can see with them. So Montana Main Street grant is due December 8th. So if we can come up with an idea before then, I'm sure, you know, I can ask Joe if he has the manpower to help us write that grant. And come up with.
It's Montana Main Streets, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's called Montana Main Street. I can see what they're eligible for. That's the one,
that you
still
helped with some of the study.
with some of the master plan, but some of the things like if we're preemptively looking for like wayfinding, signage, whatever, and maybe lighting falls into that, we can ask if we can.
Karen said with a mask mandate.
I just saw that.
Yeah, So, yeah, so put your thinking caps on. I know it's kind of quick. I just noticed it that it is due December 8th. So, I mean, it's not crucial, but if you do have ideas, it might not hurt to try to get the funds. So,
currently we have no lights in the Lions Park.
There's some lights down there. They're set back and they're very, very dim. They're like the orange, almost dark space ones.
well, and,
They're-
yeah, well, no, the orange, because the new ones, that you should go to Virginia City, the new ones, they have new LED lights. I think it's on the corner of Idaho and.
Yeah, they put a few up there.
Yeah, so it was some kind of like trial thing, so we can talk to Virginia City and see if there was a way. I think that they got some kind of program, I don't
They're
think
gonna
it
take
was
money.
from Northwestern Energy, and to see if they can help us. I mean, Northwestern Energy, they also have a grant program too, so maybe we can work with them on getting, because we do have this problem, that we can work with them in lighting up that side of town.
Yeah, we can put
Look
it,
at this light out here.
They're those kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
There's
those
one,
old kinds.
and I see this young fellow in black, one push the button, and he walks across. And
You're gonna hit them?
it infuriates me because when the car's coming the other way and your light's in there, you don't see him.
Yeah.
You don't see him. And the light faces down Pearl Street when it should be facing out to the highway and illuminating that light right there. So you'll know somebody's in there.
Yeah.
Well, when it's dark, it's dark.
And I think that, I mean, we did talk about at one point, a lighting district.
Yeah.
We brought
that
that up.
up when we brought up the master plan about
Yeah,
stuff to do.
so, yeah.
Lights have been, since I got on here, lights have been.
So,
we can put a light, just like a street light type light over in the park at the very far corner, right by the river. And like John was saying, when you have street lights like that, you come down and you know.
It'll
entering
glow.
into-
You're coming into a town.
Yeah, you're coming into a town.
You're on a curve. You don't know nothing.
Do you want, like, I can maybe call the state or DOT or somebody and see if we can't get a state, county, and one of us here to kind of come up with,
I'm gonna put them in the meeting with us.
yeah.
They're gonna be right in front of us.
Bill
Maybe virtually, but they're gonna be here
Yeah,
with
but Bill
us.
Fogarty's been really responsive.
Yes.
I think we just need to.
So before next month's
No,
agenda.
I don't wanna get that. I want them right here. There's no point in dragging. Let's get them right in here and have the conversation then, instead of like what we're doing right now. We're having a lot of conversation, but nothing really to be able to back it up. So we've got the people that are in the room that can actually make the plan effective. There's no point in really dragging this out. We could talk all day long. We might as well talk political things at that point.
Whoa.
I want to jump in one other thing. I did talk with Marshall. Marshall Beninkoff from the chamber, put in a grant for a bathroom in
the park by
Grandma Park or whichever way you want to call it. It's been called 7 different things, but he has put in a grant. That might be a matching thing. I told him to go ahead and put it in. Couldn't.
That is fantastic.
But it was due by December, so I told him to go ahead and put it.
There is, when they did that bunch of, we gotta figure out who actually owns that.
We do. Yeah, we're insuring it. We went through this a while ago.
Okay.
We own the park.
We own it now.
Yeah, we always have owned it.
What park?
This the little park right downtown where the green gazebo is.
Oh,
Yeah, we went through this, so how long ago was that?
Is that really?
It wasn't that long ago. It seemed like yesterday, but yeah, we went through it. We've been insuring that thing the whole time and forget.
Who did we buy? From DOT, we got.
Oh, yeah, that's right. DOT didn't want it anymore, so they gave it to us.
Right, it transferred hands, actually.
Yeah, I remember. I
Still,
forgot.
I thought there was still some kind of hanging Chad issue with that.
Because when that actually started, that was I forget the lady who actually donated the park to the state, and the state,
Yeah.
and then the state said they no longer own it, so it reverted to us. That's basically how that ran down.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
I think so, but I.
Yeah, it's right in those
I'm
lines.
gonna look at it, Lisa, because, yeah, I'm wondering too. If there's still, yeah.
It's just it's some like technicality. I could be wrong, it could be cleared up, but as I remembered it, there was still some technicality between the state and the town. But
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you guys. I just hadn't remembered that, and he had asked about that.
So I guess what I was asking when we get the state and the county and everybody here is we had a plan or ideas or talked about it before, we just get them on here and be like.
It makes more sense to have them here because like I said, we can talk all we want until they tell us what they can or can
they
or
hear
will or
from the
won't.
community.
Yeah.
We can say, oh, we've heard from our community members, but unless they actually hear the words from the community, when it's in an agenda item, I think that will have a larger impact on their drive and their sense of urgency to get something done.
Yes.
Because I did meet after the last incident, I went and talked with the county, and that's where we did get, we did get the speed sign from. So I did talk with the county on that. I think I also did talk with MDT.
So the plan is next month, so I'll rally people if they get comment. The other thing, Fish Wildlife Parks was supposed to be last month, it kind of fell off. Are they gonna come talk to us at all, or?
And how about the study, the Main Street study?
Yeah, when do we get the findings?
That is supposed to be released in December. And as soon as I have a copy of it, I'll make sure every one of you have it, and that's when we will discuss it.
Okay.
But when we can discuss the study itself, but that will be dropped into the master plan, and whether that is done or not done will be down the road as to what the commission decides each project is that they want to do.
It was more to like just learn from the experience. And the reason why it's taking so long is they had a staff member take another job and they have to review all that video and watch it. So that is what's taking.
Okay, anything else from you guys? Going once? Good, okay. Claims.
Move to approve.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Jason. Okay, I think it's you, Jason. Oh, wait, any discussion?
Did anyone else giggle when they saw the $70 Nerf gun? Sorry. I was like, what is this for?
Aye.
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 I really want to see it too. I want to see a $70 Nerf gun.
John?
So bad.
For the adjourn.
Already said it.
She seconded it.
I second, so you're voting.
Aye.
You don't want to?
Aye.
Aye.
I wanted to stay at midnight because he said he was gonna be here till midnight.
I could have done it.
Did everybody sign those? I feel like somebody did, John.
I did.
I probably didn't. No.
How do you use it? Special, do they stay on the blue cord or do we just?
No, don't touch. Don't yell at us for not playing. What are you looking at?
Karen
Library
said
report.
that she attached her answers to last month's Chambers Parklet survey.
Aaron did?
Also attached is the library standards that I mentioned last month and my answers to the Chamber Parklet survey.
Good night.
But I don't see it. Cool. Can you, or do you want me to do?
No, I'll do it, and then I wonder if I can put with Stu, and then we need to get Carrie and Nicole involved too. So, because I think so if we can come up with, we should probably have some kind of even a virtual meeting for the tree board, so we can come up with a plan. We kind of missed applying for the urban forestry grant this fall. So maybe it'll all come together with our master plan. We can identify stuff. I think I will. Oh, no, this one.
When are we having this meeting?
Is that on next month's agenda?
No, was it? I thought we
Oh, we didn't do a special meeting?
No, we don't get to have special meetings anymore. I hope he doesn't know. Gonna change my am. I have some paper and I don't even know what to do with it. Sorry.
You recycled it, what do you mean?
Yeah. So many people text me, John. So many people.
Lisa Garner.
So many people text me, they're like, you're not dead, are you? I'm like, seriously? Shaking Ennis gets shot with a kid.
You got shot?
No, everybody asked me if I got shot.
It was horrible.
Oh, from the.
The shooting, yeah. 10 people text me, you're not dead. Who got shot? You're alive.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Sad. Super sad.
He must have had a lot of hate in him.
And what a weird, just like he had it in his head to open the door and kill her. And then he missed and shot her again. He grazed her the first time and she was getting up.
That's a shame.
And then there was something else and it never went public, KBZK, nobody else put it out, but somebody else got shot or something else happened here,
Yeah.
cleaning up
22.
Bozeman's mess.
But I don't.
Yeah,
know what
but it didn't go public.
We're gonna be cleaning up Bozeman's mess.
That's what,
We'll keep it part of the Annis rumor.
right? That's one of my officer friends said, we cleaned up Bozeman's mess. But yeah, so many, I don't know if they fled here or.
By,
A suspect.
by Officer Mark.
I really don't know, but I know that the ambulance transferred me back to Bozeman with an officer and the jailer person following behind. So there was something real. But KBZK did not put it on the news.
Intern, can do you guys have a paper?
Like
No.
recycle. Yeah. I don't really want to touch your microphones, John. You want me to leave everything? I put them on one table. I'm gonna move this table back.
Oh, dear Lord.
Alrighty.
Right?
I'm gone for a week, so I will see you when I get back.
Where are you up to, Ginger?
Just see the weekend.
My mom was doing the same thing.
To Kansas?
My mom is running before the whole country shuts down. She's gonna go try to see her grandkids because it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So she's running.
That's where I'm.
She's running. She's got the same path as you. She says like, just can't, my heart hurts and I just can't do it anymore. I have to go. I'm like, no, so I'm closing off next week.
I'm gonna be safer in a plane.
I've heard that, yeah. No,
than
but,
sitting in my office.
yeah.
Probably less people.
I mean, well, I mean,
I combed through every bit of information they had, and I'm good. I'm good.
How
So
was
I
it
can
making?
leave all this and we're not picking up after I go?
See ya. Have a good trip.
See, if I'd have put dog licenses and businesses and VRBOs, we'd have been here till midnight. That's why. I
Yeah, but we
didn't do it.
still have to handle this stuff at some point.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to the point where we got one item on the agenda, not 17.
But we skipped last month.
Uh-huh. That was important. More important than you know.
It was important to skip last month?
He knows.
Why was it important to skip last month?
And you're looking like a
In your butt? Why was it important to skip last month?
Because I needed a break. You guys don't understand, I run nonstop. I needed a break. I was about ready to murder everyone I was running into. We just needed a reset. Here's a big problem. I don't know if I talked to you about that the other night. I'm tired of having, or the other day when we were talking, tired of having meetings where we get nothing done because people aren't prepared. And we weren't prepared. We haven't been prepared for.
That's what I keep saying. Can we have a meeting before the meeting? Can the work session?
No, the work sessions have been a waste. We didn't get anything accomplished in these things. I'm tired of having meetings just to have meetings. We need to be prepared for doing the